tradition. With your host, Joe Campanella.
Good evening. Welcome to This Is Your Life. I'm here standing in one of LA's most fashionable and fantastic restaurants, Le Chardonnay, where we're about to surprise a celebrated doctor whose patients have included everyone from senators to Dolly Parton to children from Watts. Now, she thinks she's coming here to attend a party in honor of her friend, actress-singer Florence Henderson. Now, they should be arriving at any minute. Are we ready, Robert?
Ready, Joe.
Good. By the way, this is Robert Bigonnet, who owns Le Chardonnay, and he's going to help us with our surprise. They're due any minute, so we'd better get everything all set, okay?
Hello? Excuse me.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you, Florence?
Hi, Robert. Elsie, come say hello to Robert. This is
Hello,
Dr. Giorgi.
How are you?
Where is, I'm supposed to do a thing here today. Is there,
Today?
Yeah.
No, look,
we are closed
I want to tell you
today.
something.
We are closed
Listen,
today.
I know
Dr.
who you
Giorgi, how are
and
you?
I'm going to have to say no.
Oh, Elsie.
No, I'm
Dr.
serious.
Giorgi.
No, I do not
Elsie.
believe in publicity.
Well, this is not publicity. We're
Yes, it
celebrating
is.
No, it
something
is
very
not.
special tonight.
No.
Something
Who
good.
started all this? I don't know.
I don't know who starts
I don't
these
know what
things,
I did.
but we're going to finish it. Okay. Now, we have a limousine ready to go to our studio, waiting for you. We're going to present an awful lot of surprises.
Right.
Just a party.
Lei parli italiano?
Un pochino.
Sì.
No,
We'll go now to the studio. Robert, merci mille fois.
Okay.
Merci.
Merci,
Thank you.
Robert. See you later.
This Is Your Life. We'll be right back with Dr. Elsie Giorgi. Denture wearers speak out about denture adhesives.
Hate them all.
They will again.
Hello again. On our way back to the studio, we discovered why Dr. Giorgi was so reluctant. Moments before leaving for the restaurant, a friend of the doctor's called from New York asking why she had not been on yet. Now, while this tipped Dr. Giorgi that we were on her trail, she has no idea what tremendous surprises await her. So let's get to it.
Here they are now, Joe Campanella with his This Is Your Life honored guest, Dr. Elsie Giorgi and her good friend Florence Henderson.
Dr. Giorgi, because of your reluctance, I didn't get a chance to say my favorite line in the whole show. Dr. Elsie Giorgi, this is your life. First I'd like to say benvenuto, welcome, and play doctor. How are you feeling?
Horrible.
Good.
No, I'm opposed to this, but you're so nice. People who came
Thank you.
here.
And look who came here.
Yeah, and Florence is, you should be doing her.
I just wanted Joe to look at this. She never
Well,
lets
I'm
me
on
This is
call.
her
I have to
beeper.
have
She's
my
on call.
beeper.
Do you believe this?
course.
You know what? No matter what time of the day or night you call Elsie, she's always there for you. I mean that. And if you go to her office, whether you've got a physical problem or an emotional one, Elsie always says, sit down, have a bite to eat.
Yeah.
Your mother used to make a wonderful thing called bousla, and your sister Nora now makes it because she sends it to me all the
She's
time.
marvelous, yeah.
So, I brought some for you because I want you to relax.
you got-
I want you to be able to talk a little more easily.
Isn't that
And because,
wonderful?
dear Elsie, tonight we're all here for you.
You are marvelous. You got better things to do.
Thank you, Florence Helen Newsom, for helping us ruin our friend Dr. Giorgi while this is your life thing. We'll see you at the party after the show. Sit down, Elsie. Now, as the doctor says, please sit down and relax
Please,
as we
this
begin
is
your
not
story.
for publicity.
No, of course not.
That goes
Elsie
to
Giorgi,
physicians.
you are the youngest of a close but poor family of 10 children, none of whom you've been able to see in many years. Your parents, Maria and Anacleto Giorgi, come to America from the province of Di Piacenza, Italy. You're born and you grow up in the Bronx in the shadow of the L train. Now, you're very close to your mother, but sadly, in your teens, she is struck down by a heart attack. You stand by helplessly, sure that you might have saved her if you knew something about medicine. So you make a vow to become a doctor, no matter how long it takes. But money for medical school is scarce, so you take a very unlikely job as a clerk at Adolph's trucking company, which you eventually run. You toil at the trucking company and manage to bankroll your impossible dream.
Yeah.
A dream that most women in their early 30s would have abandoned a dream to become a doctor.
I accepted you as an intern at Bellevue Hospital.
You recognize that
Oh,
voice?
that's Dr. Lucky.
You haven't seen him in
Oh.
23 years, all the way from Manhattan, the
my
former
God,
dean and
the
mentor,
poor
now
man.
president emeritus at New York Hospital, Cornell Medical Center,
gee.
Dr. Hugh Lucky. Dr. Lucky, now you've got to tell us about when you first came to know Dr. Giorgi.
You remember Elsie one morning early coming to my office, having stayed up for 2 or 3 nights in a row with very ill patients. You took off your shoes and your feet were bloody,
Yeah. Oh, I remember that. I'm glad I had forgotten it.
and I told you to, for my God, go to bed. Don't stay up any longer.
Jeez, what a memory.
But I knew full well you wouldn't go to bed, because when you had patients, they had a doctor
Thank you.
full time.
Well, I got taught well by people like you, too.
And I am very pleased that I had a small part in your brilliant,
Much more than
productive
you
career.
think. Much more than you think, because a couple times you should have fired me.
Thank you, Dr. Hugh Lucky. We'll see you after the show. When you finish your residency, you remain on the staff at New York's Bellevue Hospital. Well, while at Bellevue, you also set up a successful Park Avenue practice.
Yeah, I'd rather
Although you
not
take
go.
pride in treating such respected figures, and your Park Avenue practice flourishes, you grow dissatisfied because you feel that the poor as well as the rich need a family doctor.
Elsie, do you remember? You came up to East Harlem on my call.
Really? No, she's not here.
A colleague you haven't seen in
Oh,
25
my God,
years since
did
you
you read
pioneered
her
family
book?
medicine in Harlem together, Dr. Beatrice Burley.
Not really. I was going to write you about your book. It's beautiful. It was my inspiration for lots.
Well,
It was you who did it. You remember community medicine?
Well, Dr.
Well,
Burley, now look, you developed an innovative approach to family and neighborhood medicine together, didn't you?
Well, no, she did it all. I just
no,
Tell us.
observed.
All right, let her tell us about it.
All right, yeah, but
well, you know, the establishment didn't think
No.
They were against it.
yes.
They thought I was nuts because we practiced medicine with the rats coming to
Yes,
the hole, under the
yeah,
examining table.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And when you came, they thought you were nuts too.
Yes, of course. Well, I think I am too. You know, I think that the theme with you and me has been, I know you think I'm crazy, but don't stop me. Let me try. And we did it, didn't we?
We did.
And Watts is a tribute to you. It
Well,
really is.
You have realized all my dreams.
Oh, all
Thank you,
right.
Dr.
We
Beatrice
go on.
Burley, who speaks of those days in her autobiography, A Life in Two Worlds. Thank you for coming here for this reunion, 25 years.
Marvelous. That's great. Isn't that beautiful?
All right, 1961. Despite your success in Harlem at the clinic, you find yourself unfulfilled with your private practice. Now, you're bored with problems of some of the
why I went to
pampered
medical
rich.
school.
You're about to turn a dramatic corner in your life, which will have a profound effect on the medically underserved, as well as the more famous stars 3,000 miles away from New York. And we'll find out more about that when we return to This Is Your Life, Dr. Elsie Giorgi. Welcome back to This Is Your Life, Dr. Elsie Giorgi. All right, you're the youngest of a close-knit family of 10 brothers and sisters living in New York City. When you decide to move your practice to Southern California, you regret leaving your family behind, but you see the need for a fresh start. So you come to Los Angeles and begin to make your mark just as you did in New York. Quickly, with a finger in every pie, you teach, you assume the overall directorship of nursing homes, conduct clinics for adolescents and the aged, and build a practice that immediately attracts a large celebrity clientele, including this funny lady. Listen.
Edgar, Melissa, and I would have loved to have been with you tonight, Elsie.
Joan
But unfortunately,
Rivers.
you had other plans for my weekend.
Of course, I don't have to tell you who that is. One of your many superstar patients, probably the hottest comedian in the U.S. today, Miss
great.
Joan Rivers. What?
I love you, Elsie Giorgi. And for those of you that don't know about Elsie Giorgi, she's the smartest doctor around today. A lot smarter than a lot of those guys running around with degrees. Elsie never really went to medical school. She went 2 years to medical school and 2 years to Tijuana. Her motto has always been, learn while doing. But seriously, she's wonderful, she's fabulous, she's caring, and she makes house calls. I think I can truthfully say I owe my health and my family's health to Elsie Giorgi.
Thank you, Joan Rivers. I'm sure the doctor will be checking with you after the show. Of course, Joan was kidding. You actually graduated with a medical degree from the College of Physicians and Surgeons at Columbia University. But among your other patients are stars like Olivia Newton-John, Helen Reddy, Elliott Gould, Dolly Parton, Henry Winkler, and many, many more. Other stars try to find ways to persuade you to treat them. This has nothing to do with your fees, which are so modest that some longtime patients voluntarily send checks for double the amount that they're billed. But just as important as your celebrity clientele is your work with the poor children of Watts. Beginning in 1965, you volunteered to examine children in the Head Start program, which is an educational program for underprivileged preschool children. And at your own expense, you make many trips to Washington, D.C. requesting grants. All right. August of 1965, the Watts riots explode. But you forge on with your project. And in May of 1966, you opened the Multi-Purpose Health Services Center in some portable trailers in the heart of the riot area.
Dr. Giorgi, we've been to the wall together.
Is that a familiar voice?
Yes.
A member of the Sons of Watts who helped you get accepted in the predominantly black community of Watts during that turbulent period of the 60s. He's a Stanford University graduate and now a public relations officer of the Charles R. Drew Postgraduate Medical School, Mr. Johnny Scott.
Johnny Scott.
Johnny, you've got to tell me something. Now, what did the people of Watts think of outsiders coming into the neighborhood saying they were going to help?
Well, during that time, there were a lot of what we call poverty program pimps who exploited the community. And there was a lot of distrust and antagonism toward any outsiders. Dr. Giorgi, she wasn't exempt. She knew she had to prove herself, and she demonstrated this by doing. That's the most important thing. You're a doer.
You two became pretty close then.
Well, we became close, and I kind of acted as a buffer. But you see, I saw firsthand that the color of a person's skin really doesn't matter to her. She came into Watts and built bridges, and the result is the Watts Health Foundation.
All right, let's take a look at the new Watts Health Foundation that opened in 1979 and as it thrives today. This foundation serves 100,000 people each year, administering to their medical, dental, and emotional needs, and provides employment for 453 people, full and part-time. Thank you, Johnny Scott. We'll be able to get together after the show. Dr. Giorgi, your brilliance is admired in many areas, but your ability as a diagnostician is celebrated in medical circles.
Elsie, if it hadn't been for your special ability, I would not be here today.
Jones.
The voice of your friend and patient, 15-time Grammy Award winner, 4 of them for his producing and arranging Michael Jackson's Thriller album, composer, producer, and artist, Mr. Quincy Jones. Quincy, now you said that if it hadn't been for Elsie, you wouldn't be here. Now, what did you mean by that?
Well, first I blacked out, Joe, and then my wife, Peggy, who thought I was having a heart attack, she called the paramedics. Paramedics came and they checked it out, and the heart seemed to be strong and fine. And then after they left, Peggy called you, Elsie, and she came and examined my eyes, and she said, well, either you can go to the hospital or we'll wait 24 hours to see what develops. And then I blacked out again, and she said it was because I had an aneurysm, and she rushed me off to the operation room. And she stayed by my side for 7.5 hours. And I understand that later that only 1 out of 100 survives this type of surgery. So I was very happy to wake up, and then a few days later she said I had to have a second operation because I had another aneurysm, and that's when I got a little frightened.
Well, now, what did you do to bolster Quincy?
I tell you, Quincy bolstered me. The big thing I had to do which she never mentions. I had to drive him to the hospital because he was too cheap to pay for an ambulance. Quincy didn't need so. He didn't act that far. Quincy hates needles. But I must say, I never saw anybody braver go through some of the most painful things ever, you can ever have.
What did it feel like when you finally did come out that last time?
Well, when I finally woke up, I felt like I was in heaven, and I couldn't believe that God and Elsie pulled me through this twice. And from then on, something inside me changed. But Elsie, she stuck by my side all the way, like she does all of her patients. And outside of you being a genius, Elsie, you're a very, very
Don't
close
forget
friend.
the hand of God.
And a very special person in my life. And Peggy and I love you very much.
Thank you, Quincy Jones.
Quincy, I love you.
Thank you, Quincy. Oh, God. You've come a long way from the Bronx, Dr. Giorgi, but you've never forgotten your roots. And more than anything in the world, you've wanted your family to be here with you, but you've been unable to make that happen. Until right now. Here from New York, your sister, whom you haven't seen in over 8 years, Caroline Minicucci. Here from Florida, your sister, whom you last saw over 23 years ago, Nora Siragusa.
Oh, my God.
And here, again from Florida, your brother, whom you also haven't seen in 23 years, Peter Giorgi. Nora, tell us now, this must really stir up some great memories.
Do you remember we slept together in the same bed?
Oh, sure. We didn't have room. None of us in 5
Let us tell the story.
Papa would tell us to turn off the light, but you would still read from the light of the 3rd Avenue L's right outside our window.
Peter, what about those experiments of hers?
Yes. You remember when you were cutting up the chickens at home there, dissecting them, and then...
And frogs, too.
That's right.
Frogs. Caroline?
I told her that she was dissecting the frogs also.
Caroline?
Elsie, you know that I made all your dresses for
Oh,
you.
yes. And I haven't been well-dressed since. Look.
Elsie, you accepted that, but you wouldn't let us help you with your medical career. You did that all by yourself.
All right, Elsie, tonight you've seen a lot of people who've played important parts in your life. The doctor who accepted you as an intern, a colleague you worked beside in Spanish Harlem, a soulmate from Watts, a brilliant artist who owes his life to you, and most of all, your beloved sisters and brother.
Oh, God.
But there are still more surprises in store for you when we return to This Is Your Life, Dr. Elsie Giorgi. This Is Your Life, Dr. Elsie Giorgi, 1984 super version of the old family doctor. All right, you have lived a full life and you've given life to others. Your circle of friends extends throughout the world. Now we've got an old friend here with one of your newest friends.
You're a great, great doctor, but quite honestly, you give the worst shots in the world.
One of the true stars of motion pictures today, actor, director, one of your patients, Mr. James Caan, with a very special friend. Jim, who's this?
This is my new wife.
Oh, good.
This is Laquita Askew, who's 3 years old. And one of the thousands of children who have benefited from the medical care offered at the Watts Medical Foundation that you work so hard to create.
James, you've got to tell us, why does everybody seem to love this lady?
Don't ask. So I did the worst.
Oh, no, I'll tell you. Besides the worst shots, though. I think in today's world where everything seems so mechanized, she's a rare breed. She has a genuine, intense interest in all her patients. You cook for us. You spend endless hours talking to us about personal problems. She calls us to see how we're doing. She gets very mad if we don't call her. And she cares very deeply for all the patients, and I think she's what every doctor ought to be, and I love you.
Thank you very much, James Caan and Laquita. but a few of those who testify to the depth of your doctoring. Everyone from your brother and sisters who grew up with you, to former teachers and colleagues, to Hollywood's greatest stars, to the disadvantaged of Watts, to your countless friends, some of whom are in our audience tonight.
Yes,
they all share in the love and inspiration that is you. Please keep it up. Dr. Elsie Giorgi, this is your life.
Thank you.
Accommodations for some of today's guests furnished by Beverly Garland's Howard Johnson's Resort Lodge, our North Hollywood Country Garden. Quiet, yet only minutes from all of Hollywood's